What's up, Boxing World Show number 15 of the 13th round with Freddylokz. Let's get right into last week's action. On Friday night, we had Dalvin Rodriguez with a decision win over Shimon Alvarez. On Saturday night, we had Robert Guerrero, who got cut by Jordan in the second round. Unintentional headbutt. Kind of disappointed because it looked like Jordan was bringing it. I was liking his style. I was liking the way he was able to fight off the back foot, and with Guerrero being a pressure fighter, I was really interested in finding out what would have happened in that fight. But Jordan did have a trouble inside. Every time Robert would get inside, Jordan would kind of grab him and bring him towards him. He kind of showed a little bit of lack of infighting there. But his fighting off the back foot and counterpunching looked to be on point, so I hope they do it sometime soon, or I hope I see Jordan sometime soon, because the kid looked pretty good from what I did see of him. Vicious Victor Ortiz stops Mighty Mike Arnautis in the second round, and at first I thought it was too much of a I thought it was an early stoppage, but looking at the replay, I didn't see those uppercuts that were landing were pretty hard shots, and I don't think Mike would have made it out that round anyway, so it was a pretty good stoppage. We also had James the Mandingo Warrior Kirkland with the 6th round TKO over Joel Julio. Made him quit. From round 1 he was on him. He made him quit. He didn't let him breathe, and he keeps that annoying jab in your face. It's not annoying to me. I like watching it, but when I say annoying, I mean to his opponents. Every time Kirkland's moving, even though he's kind of off balance or following you around, he's not really cutting the ring off. He's just really chasing you down. He keeps that jab in your face, whether it's just peppering you with it or whether it's throwing it. It's always in your face, and I think that really bothered Julio a lot because he was never in a position to punch, and Kirkland, because of that jab, was always in a position to punch and always got the better shots off. And it was a pretty good fight. Many people were complaining about the whole card, but I liked it. It answered a lot of questions from Kirkland and Ortiz, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for those two guys, man. I love watching both of them fight. We also had another prospect, Mike Alvarado, with a brutal knockout over Emmanuel Clary in the 10th round. And everybody keeps talking about wanting to see Kirkland and El Perro Angulo go at it at 154. How about Victor Ortiz versus Mike Alvarado? That's going to be a barn burner for sure, and I would like to see that happen in the near future. And we have upcoming fights and predictions next. On Friday night, we have Lucian Bute versus Fulgencio Zuniga. Another tough fight for Bute, but I think he can pull off a decision. I don't think Fulgencio has the tools to beat him. He does have pressure and is a really tough guy, but besides that, I don't see him bringing too much to the plate. I see Lucian Bute outboxing him, getting that decision. And on Saturday, we have Arthur Abraham back in action versus Lawan Simon. Pretty sure Abraham's going to take him out in about the mid-rounds. And after that, I would like to see him back in the States chasing Kali Pavlik. That's one fight that, in my opinion, has to happen. It just has to happen. They have similar opponents. They both have knockout victories over similar opponents, and they're both champions, and it just has to happen. There's no and, ifs, or buts about it. It has to happen sometime this year. Now let's get some news and notes. Raul Martinez versus Nonito Donaire seems to be back on track, which is pretty good because that was one fight that I'm really anxious to see. So I'm glad to hear that. De La Hoya has recently spoken about his future and doesn't have much in mind. He said he doesn't know if he's gonna continue fighting or not. So he's pretty much up in the air about it right now. Calzaghe rejects Golden Boy's offer to fight Bernard Hopkins again, looking to stay retired. Jorge Barrios is injured and has been taken off the lightweight tournament that's set to happen next month, which kind of sucks because I was really looking forward, but I want to see him get a replacement, a pretty good replacement for him to keep that card live. And Juan Manuel Marquez seems to seriously be after Floyd. At first I thought it was just a jab he was throwing at him, but now, Allerby's responded back, Floyd's responded back, so I'm interested to see what's happening. I don't want to see that fight really because it doesn't do much for me. I respect Juan Manuel Marquez's guts and calling him out, but I don't see it being too competitive at this point in time. I can see Floyd easily winning a unanimous decision. I think there's other big fights for Marquez to be made right now, but that's a whole other show, whole other topic. Let's get into some questions from the viewers. SF Playboy 415 from Eastside Boxing is asking, Freddie, what's your take on Mosley being on the sidelines waiting for Floyd or the winner of Pat Hatton, while Cotto Clary are going to start unifying belts? Floyd seems to not be interested in fighting Mosley, and Arum seems to want to put together Pac versus Cotto, if they both win, obviously. So is Mosley's pursuit for big money fights going to leave him out in the cold? You know, Mosley's a professional at doing that. Every time he seems to get this momentum built, he loses it for some reason. Whether it's a fight he didn't look too good in, or whether it's anything, he just seems to have that thing about him. But in this case, it's not so bad because there's a lot of superstars fighting superstars. So if that does happen to Mosley and he doesn't get the winners, he can always get the losers. You know, he can always get the losers. Or there's other options out there like Williams. I mean, there's so many other names out there that could make for great fights right now that might not be billion-dollar fights, but they're really good fights that can cash him in 2 or 3 million, which I think is good. You know, but do I think he's gonna lose out on the mega millions by waiting? Possibly. You know, he might have to get a little bit loud with it, but that's not his style, so we'll see what happens with that. I hope he doesn't, but he probably will. The good thing, like I said, is that in this case the losers are still superstars too, so he can chase after them too. Now, the same guy is asking me, how do I see Cotto versus Clary playing out? I don't think Clary has a style to trouble Cotto. I mean, Cotto's elusive, he moves a lot, he throws a bunch of punches, and he throws to hurt you. He doesn't throw to keep you off of him, he throws to hurt you. Now with Clary, who's a pretty much shelled up fighter with his defense and at times gets pretty patient there, I think Cotto's going to capitalize a lot. I don't think he's going to take him out, but I think every time Clary does that, Cotto's going to capitalize, body, head, body, head, and keep that pace up through the 12 rounds. I don't see Clary coming forward and pressuring Cotto enough to hurt him or to keep him off of him, because Clary's just not that kind of a fighter. You know, so I can see Cotto winning a clear-cut decision. And we also have another guy from Eastside Boxing asking me a question. Doug M 1970 is asking me, Freddie, what are your thoughts on the WBA having 2 heavyweight champions and 2 super bantamweight champions, and a meaningless WBA international title when they already have an intercontinental title? Now, if you know me, if you follow me around the internet, my posts or whatever, you know that titles don't mean much to me. You know, I know it means a lot to the boxer. It's obviously their dream, but nowadays, so many belts, so rankings. I mean, the fans have even started their own, you know, pound for pound rankings, and they got their own champions too. So I mean, it's a bunch of bullshit right now, and that's one thing that I do think boxing should take out of UFC, is that they only have one champion, and their superstars fight each other all the time, you know. And I think that's what boxing needs, you know, one champion, one title in every division, and really get rid of all these stupid sanctioning bodies that are just ruining the sport. Will it ever happen? No, it's not going to happen, but that's just my opinion, and that's what I would like to see happen. You know, just imagine one champion in every division. Imagine all the fights you would have to be in to get to that fight. They're all going to be great fights, you know, but instead we have 30 titles in each division. Each title has their, you know, top 10. They're fighting this guy, all of a sudden they're number 1. You know what I mean? So really, I think it's just a bunch of bullshit that's ruining the sport, and not only the WBA, but I think a lot of other belts, the way they work is bullshit. You know, the WBC has these tendencies to make these fighters that have not been fighting for them in years mandatories or champions out of nowhere. So overall, it's a bunch of bullshit, you know. With that, your boy's out. I would like to let the fans know that I appreciate all the support, all the questions. Look me up on MySpace / The 13th Round, here on YouTube, on Eastside Boxing, on Max Boxing, on layitlow.com. Look me up. With that, your boy's out. Peace.